the best advice I ever got from a banker one time. He told me that your lifestyle is like the elastic in your underwear. And it just sticks with me, just not because it's graphic, but I think it's funny. And as you get fatter and your elastic stretches out, it never goes back in the way it was before. And your lifestyle has the same problem. When your lifestyle creeps and continues to get bigger and you spend more and more and more, it's really hard to get it to snap back. It just doesn't.
Welcome to Married to the Startup. I'm Alicia MacKenzie, a wellness entrepreneur and digital creator. Alongside me is my amazing husband, George, the CEO who's always ready for a new challenge. We've been navigating marriage and running startups for over a decade, and we're here to share the real, unfiltered journey with you. Join us for insights and candid conversations about integrating love, family, and entrepreneurship. This is Married to the Startup, where every day is a new adventure. Welcome back for another episode of Married to the Startup. I am your host, Alicia MacKenzie.
Me llamo Jorge. I am español solamente hoy. It'll be a very short episode.
And that's the length of your
And
knowledge.
great episode. That's not true.
Okay. Today, well, first, let's talk about what we did last Thursday.
I can barely remember yesterday. What did we do last Thursday?
We brought home
the chickens.
4 new family members.
Oh,
My mom
begrudgingly brought home chickens.
My mom officially has grand chickens.
Okay.
And you upgraded their pen.
Yes.
So I secretly think that you love them.
No, I am just a humanitarian and a friend to all animals. No, there was a very small pen and they were growing rapidly. So I didn't want them walking around in their own feces. So
Their current living situation was adequate for their size.
Yeah,
And
maybe.
you quadrupled it.
Yeah, much better. Chickens are happier.
And now they live in your office.
That was an unintended consequence of my action. Now I get the chirp all day long.
And you love it.
And the one fat one flies out and then immediately regrets his decision and walks around the pen to try to get back in.
Yeah.
And then does it again.
And our kids love them.
That they do.
And Fitzgerald is not a fan. They keep pecking him in the nose.
Because he tries to eat them and they know it.
Yeah. But it's an experience.
That it is.
And we'll keep them through the summer and then we'll take them back.
Yes. We'll keep them for the next
Got you.
3 weeks.
It's on record.
No, 3 weeks.
That we're keeping them through the summer.
No, this is a 4-week deal. And they'll be gone in 3 more weeks.
I heard
or
4.
less.
I heard 4 months.
Or less.
Regardless.
It may go back faster.
Okay, back to the subject.
What is the subject?
The subject is part 2 of the MacKenzie-Childs story.
Ooh. Yeah, it's interesting that I think, her untimely death brought about a lot of searches for MacKenzie-Childs, which brought people to our podcast. And I think there may have been some misinterpretation by folks that this was not a life story of MacKenzie-Childs. It was more of a dissection or case study into her business acumen or how the business got to where it was. And it was interesting. It was great comments. I think it was good to get comments from listeners. I think it might have been beneficial for some of the commenters to read the podcast, what it's about.
When we recorded episode 51, we told you everything that we knew publicly.
Correct.
Right. And it turns out that there is a chapter that was glazed over in the documentation online.
Okay.
Right. And because she just passed away on March, I think it was like March 6th or 7th. This stop.
What? I can't not.
Yes. 6-7. 6-7. It unfolded a lot of, or it uncovered a good chunk of information that wasn't made public.
Yes.
Right. And I love the internet for it. I love social media and the fact that like more people are talking about MacKenzie-Childs and what happened behind it. And
yeah, so there was another chapter to the story.
Yeah. A quick recall as to why we even recorded episode 51 in the first place. I was in Tribeca for a book launch event. And we just so happened to walk into a MacKenzie-Childs story or a store. And I did like a cute little TikTok, right? Like, I love the store. I love the.
We did buy grandma a
Yeah.
present from there,
Yeah,
which was cool.
we bought a present, but when you post on TikTok, naturally it's gonna receive comments, and one of the comments was, "Go research Mackenzie-Childs, you'll never believe what they did to her."
Mhm.
Right? And it was very curiosity inducing, and I'm like, "Whoa, what did they do to her?" And lo and behold, we found out that they stole her name, they stole her company, da 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 da, all this information. But what was missed out or what was left out was who did the stealing to begin with,
Okay.
right?
Uh, yeah.
So we
I mean,
jumped
stealing is
from
all relative.
yes,
I'll
yeah.
use that term.
And I say quote unquote stealing, right?
Yeah.
Air quotes,
Yes.
because it wasn't stolen. She acquired the company legally. It just, yeah, she
Yeah.
took advantage of a
A
bad
situation.
situation.
Right. Yeah.
So before we dive in completely, it was March 4th that Mackenzie-Childs passed away at the age of 77. Right. And I think it deserves acknowledgement because what she created stood the test of time.
Right. She was an artist.
She was an artist and she was very artistic. And she actually kind of reminds me of my brother because my brother was the artistic version of the two of us. And he was very much a free spirit and lived life his way. And after 48 hours, like we would beat each other's throats because we're so different. He passed away in 2012. But I just want to acknowledge that creativity and just I think creatives are way different than analyticals.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, those need to be protected, kind of like how you have to protect founder equity. I think if you're involved with a creative in a business, they also need to be sometimes protected from themselves because you tend to make decisions based on your desired outcomes and what you think is right and thinking everyone else is going to play by the same rules.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, as displayed in this, biopsy, it's kind of, you dance the line between what's legal, what's ethical, and what's right.
Yes.
And sometimes those three things can all be different.
Yes. And this woman built something that was extraordinary, lost it, and then kept building anyways.
Right.
Right. So I think we need to tell the full story with that in mind.
Okay. What's the full story?
What is the full story?
Mm-hmm.
Um, a quick look back. Victoria and Richard Mackenzie-Childs were two ceramic artists with MFAs, right? Masters in Fine Art.
Mm-hmm.
And they founded the brand in 1983 on a dairy farm in upstate New York.
That sounds fitting, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We're on a dairy farm. We've got a pottery workshop,
Yeah.
and we're going to make art.
And the company is a mashup of their name. So Mackenzie-Childs,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the brand really exploded in the 90s. And I distinctly remember the pattern, right? Mackenzie-Childs is synonymous with that black and white checked pattern that while it's kind of farm-like, they somehow turned it into this luxury Goliath that you just saw inside all of these designer stores, and they had a Madison Avenue flagship store. They were in Bergdorf Goodman, Neiman Marcus, so over 150 upscaled retailers,
Right.
right? And then, as the story usually goes, they expanded really quickly. They took on some debt
Yeah.
and could not keep up with the demand.
Right. And I think that this is kind of what we talked about last time. And it's really the classic expansion story, right? Like things are going great. You're on the top of the world. So you you assume things will continue at a linear growth and that now you're going to scale to meet that growth in the future. So we're going to sign leases, we're going to take on debt, we're going to do all these things and, create a advertising campaign to be kind of generate more demand as we grow our business. And you're locking into this long-term debt all based on the assumption that your top line revenue growth continues to rise.
Mhm.
And that works until it doesn't. And
Yes.
when you have, and I think that's where the prudent business owner, like a bootstrap prudent founder, would be able to weigh those risks and say, okay, is it worth taking on all this debt? It's a massive amount of debt. Do we need to open two gigantic prime location stores, or is the 150 retail stores where it's a lower cost of entry a better fit? Or Do we need to ramp up production? Do all these things need to happen all at once in a big bang, which requires tons of debt, or can we kind of serially roll this out as we validate our demand?
Yeah.
But I think certain people, and everybody looks at it differently. Some people say, this is a rocket ship. It's never going to end. It's fantastic. We got to scale for growth now. And we don't want to be, having a demand problem where there's too much demand and not enough supply.
Yes. Right. So they took on $15.3 million in debt to fund this new growth, this expansion. As you mentioned, the two flagship stores, one on Rodeo Drive and one on Madison Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like that just sounds expensive.
Yeah. I mean, you just create a fixed cost structure that you have to support.
Yes.
Right. So it's no different than hiring a bunch of people. Although when you hire people, you can fire them. When you take on this debt, you can't fire the debt.
Yes.
Right. You could close down the stores, but you still owe the lease.
In their defense, e-commerce was not a big thing back then, right? In the 90s.
Yeah, it's impossible to see the future, right? But you can, as part of your strategy, there should have been risks, and maybe they did articulate the risks to the lenders, or they articulated the risk. They probably didn't have a board at that time. It was just the two of them. So sometimes, the worst lies are the ones you tell yourself, and
Yes.
you ignore the risks because you see the rosy upside.
Absolutely. And they were planning a third Beverly Hills store when it all came crashing down.
Yeah.
Right. So what really happened? In 2000, they filed for bankruptcy protection. Right. And this is where they file for Chapter 11.
Mm-hmm.
This is where the story that we told jumps right into the private equity.
Right. But there was another chapter here.
Absolutely. There was another chapter that was not public until her passing.
Right.
And it was Pleasant Rowland, who was the founder of the American Girl doll. Right. So she's the founder of American Girl. She built this own company from scratch. She had her own creative vision, and she was eventually sold that to Mattel in 1998.
Right. So she is a success. She is a founder-led, especially a female founder-led business owner that had a successful exit and had quote unquote made it. Like
Yes.
she is.
But she's also a creative.
Yeah, a pillar in the community. Someone that, that I'm sure fit this brand.
Yes.
Okay.
So a board member at MacKenzie-Childs reached out to Pleasant Rowland about investing in the company. And she saw this as an opportunity. Right. So when you go to Chapter 11, you restructure your debt, right? You don't get rid of it.
Right. And at that point, your debt holders could try to capitalize on the debt. So if you're filing Chapter 11, if I say I loan you $1,000,
Mm-hmm.
and then you say, I'm not going to be able to repay you that $1,000 based on the terms we had agreed upon, I need to set new terms. So I know you're struggling financially, and my board or my family may say, hey, she's never going to pay us that $1,000 back. So get whatever you can for it. And then I take that $1,000 debt that you owe me and I sell it to someone else for $500. So at least I get $500 back.
Yes.
I lost $500 on the deal, but I got $500 where I could have lost the whole $1,000.
Yes.
And the only reason a person buys that debt is to make profit from it. And I think that's where some people get emotionally tied to the story. But if I'm buying that debt, the goal of the acquisition is to make money, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not charity.
Yes.
I'm buying your debt at a fraction of the cost in hopes that I can help turn it around and profit off of the delta between what I paid and what is owed.
Yes. So Roland saw this as an opportunity to take this failing company,
especially in a market space in which she has direct experience.
Yes. Invest in it.
Yes.
And then turn a profit. So she purchased the company's assets, the trademarks, the IP, all of the goodwill out of bankruptcy court for $5.5 million on a $15.3 million debt.
Right. So that's what some people may like. How did she get all those things? So to secure the $15.3 million in debt, most likely they guaranteed it with all of those things, the IP and trademarks. And, obviously goodwill is relative. You can't go cash a goodwill check
Yes.
at the bank. But your IP is worth something. Your name, brand, and likeness is worth something. And the trademarks that you have are worth something.
Yes.
So that is what secured the debt with the bank. So when the bank sells the debt, those securities come with it.
Now, this is where it gets a little.
So at this point, everything seems it is ethical.
Yes.
It is legal.
Yes.
And if it seems as though, this could be a benefit, because obviously the board at MacKenzie-Childs, who was on board with getting the debt,
Yes.
has proffered this to
Victoria and Richard.
Victoria, to say, hey, she could be a lifeline that helps us out.
Yes.
Okay. So all seems on the up and up.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is where Pleasant is not so pleasant.
Oh, no.
She then immediately called the $10 million difference as leverage to force Victoria and Richard into a non-compete. Right? So a non-compete means they can't go start another company using any form of the assets that she had bought when she acquired MacKenzie-Childs.
Right. Which, to me, I think it's
a smart business move.
It is what you would do, right? Because I have now coughed up $5 million
Yes.
for these assets. I don't want you then to go around and create the same asset and rename it and then compete with me, and I lose out on my $5 million investment.
Yes. So rather than sign the non-compete, they refused. They're like, we're not doing this.
Mhm.
They turned it into a Chapter 7 bankruptcy to discharge the debt personally.
Their personal debt.
Yes, to discharge
So I imagine I guess they personally were liable.
I mean,
Yes. Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Yes. So they thought that protected them and their names in these proceedings.
Mhm.
Turns out it did not, because their name had already been transferred as an asset of the company.
Right.
That was something that they glazed over, right? Maybe they didn't understand that when they sold.
Yeah. What was actually the IP?
Yes. Which.
And what was trademarked? I'm sure MacKenzie-Childs was trademarked.
Mm-hmm. And as a business person, I look at it and I'm like, oh, yes, it's very obvious that your name was a part of the trademark.
Right. Yeah.
But to them, the creatives, and maybe that's just something that they didn't consider.
Right.
Right. So didn't sign.
Right.
Filed for bankruptcy. Figured out that their name was actually an asset, a part of the company.
Okay.
So
they leave the company.
They did. They left. They left, and Roland invested in the brand. She was rebuilding, opened new retail locations, restructured operations, and then by 2006, the company was profitable. In 2007, she announced that she was exploring the sale because she had accomplished her goal.
Mhm.
Right? So this is what a lot of business people do. They see something failing, they know they can do it better, they go buy it, turn it around, and then sell it for a profit.
Right. It's no difference than, watching your house flipper shows on TLC or HGTV or
Absolutely.
the Chick and Joanna Games, right? I take a distressed asset, I buy it at a bargain, I invest in said asset, and then I sell it for profit.
Mm-hmm.
That, all sounds good. I think the non-compete really makes her sound like a villain, but as a business owner, I think I would do the same thing. Understanding we were not at the table, we do not understand what was said or transpired, and it could very well be it was a incredibly stringent non-compete, and that's where it could be. You could see how ethically it's correct and how legally it's correct, but as is this right or wrong? You're not, if you're at the table or in the room where it happens, you don't know. It could be, hey, you're not going to take a salary for the next 5 years while we rebuild this business, but you have to be a part of it. You have to give us your name likeness, and you have to continue to create. And all those things could be perfectly legal as the company. Obviously, they would take some salary.
Yes.
You would not be paid market rates.
Yes.
Because I have all the leverage. I own your IP. I own your name. You can't go out and work anywhere else to compete against me. You could become a plumber or an electrician, but that's obviously probably not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So you really have very little choice other than to do what I say.
And That's just not nice.
It's not. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what happened. You don't know. It could have been hostile on both sides. No one knows.
Yes.
It seems nefarious when you look at it as it feels as though the non-compete may have been overly harsh.
Yes. So the 2001 to 2007, we'll call this the Roland era.
And she built the company back to profitability.
Yes. And during this era, Victoria and Richard went and started their own company. They
Right.
started a new company.
I think the one thing we may have missed is, so when she bought the debt,
Mhm.
so she bought $15 million worth of debt for $5 million.
Yes.
And then she immediately post-close said, that $10 million delta, I'm closing on that loan. You owe it to me now.
Yes.
Which then forced
Them into private bankruptcy or Chapter 7.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So
So there was that's the part that makes her look kind of villainous, right? Like,
yeah.
hey, I bought this as a cheap debt. So now I could work with the company and say, hey, as a company, you only owe $5 million now. Let's invest and grow this company to profitability and have a exit where we all win. Or I can say, you now owe me $10 million because I bought $15 million worth of debt. So you still owe me $15 million.
In total.
Yeah, I want the 10.
Mm-hmm. So they couldn't do that. They filed for Chapter 7 and discharged the debt entirely.
Right. Okay.
During this 2001 to 2007 time period where she's regrowing this company, Victoria and Richard launched a new business and they named it Victoria and Richard.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Sure, no problem. MacKenzie-Childs then comes and sues them for trademark infringement, arguing their last names had been sold in the bankruptcy proceedings. And then the founders countersued, claiming that Roland was attaching their names to the designs that they did not create. Victoria and Richard lost on both counts.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they had no legs to stand on, essentially. Right? And this is kind of where it should make everybody pause, that they tried to start over using their first names and then they got sued for it. So it wasn't a company name, it was their first name.
Mm-hmm.
Which, that's just not nice.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I get it, wanting to make money and wanting to grow a company to profitability and all this. But at the end of the day, be a good human.
Yeah. I mean,
right?
And that's where the cold hard capitalist would say,
I know.
we all have roles.
Yes.
My role as a business capitalist is to make money, right? So if you were to look at, and I'm not saying it's right, I'm just trying to argue both sides.
Yes.
If you looked at a Fortune 500 CEO, when he goes to his board or his stockholders, that's where we get kind of delusional as American capitalists. But if you were to ask them, what is your charter? What is the main goal? The main goal is, they would most likely say, is to grow the company so that increase shareholder value. So
Mhm.
people that invest in my company, I want to grow the company so that their investment appreciate, right? And that is not always aligned with doing the right thing by people, by planet, by whatever.
Yes.
If your goal is really, I've got to make numbers for the quarter so that my numbers increase shareholder value, you lose out on long-term investment strategies that have short-term pain for long-term gain because the markets punish you and shareholder value decreases. Ergo, I'm not doing my job, I'll probably lose it.
Mhm.
And hey, we need to retool the way we manufacture X, Y, or Z to be more climate friendly, to really put us in a position where 3 years from now we'll be more profitable. It's really hard to do those things when you're under the microscope of your job is to increase shareholder value.
Yes.
So if I am a capitalist and I buy a company, I buy an asset that's depreciated in value, my goal should only be viewed through the lens of, how do I take the $5 million investment and triple it, quadruple it? How do I take that 5 million and make it 20 million?
Absolutely. And my counter argument is that, how much art did this world miss out on because Victoria and Richard weren't allowed to create to the extent that they possibly could?
Yeah, I think that's the dichotomy of, capitalism and the flip side of what could happen
Yeah.
when it becomes all about the money and not about the people.
Right? Protect the artist. Protect the artist, right?
Right.
You see it in music, you see it in movies.
Yeah, but
Nobody
I think that's the one thing that I think we touched on it in episode 51, and we have it here. It becomes you have to go into every transaction looking to the future of worst case scenario and protect yourself up front. You can't protect yourself when you need the money. You can't protect yourself after the deal is closed. You have to protect yourself up front. And it's the hardest conversation to have, and it's the hardest to actually execute on. But you got to create, what are the non-negotiables
Mhm.
that I must put down in writing to say, I will not cave on this.
Yes.
And it's hard. And I'm telling you, I've done it several times. It's incredibly difficult, especially if you have multiple owners, to keep everybody rallied behind the flag. Because it's really easy when a big number comes in and you get tantalized by that number, that you say, I want that $100 million in my bank account tomorrow. I could have $100 million tomorrow
If I concede on
if
X,
I
Y, or
concede on X, Y, or Z. And then you concede because it's like, it's not that big a deal.
yeah.
Oh, it's just our IP.
Yeah.
But screw it, we're not going to need that anyway. And then 3 years down the road, things go south, and you realize, I want to. I don't want to be here anymore, and I want to go somewhere else. I want to start something else, and then the lawyers come after you for IP infringement, i.e., your names, and you didn't, and kind of hold the line on that, and you've given it away, and now you have lost your opportunity and your negotiating power.
Yeah. But also, if you're a creative, go find a mentor.
But that's the problem. Is like there were people on the board too, right?
Yeah.
And were the board looking out for the best interests of the people? And to be frank, a board's goal is the company, not the founder.
Yes.
Right? So you need someone in your corner as a founder, that be your personal lawyer, your mentor, your personal board, people
Yes.
that are going to help you, advise you of, hey, that's not a good deal. And what you don't want is to be like a MacKenzie-Childs situation where you're leveraged with debt and you can't afford your debt. And now you, you have to take whatever deal comes by because it's the life preserver that's floating in the water.
Yeah.
And it's a terrible position to be in.
Because at that point, you'll sign anything.
You have to. I mean, almost, right?
Yeah. I can't imagine the stress they were under trying to expand as fast as they were, but then you have all this debt crumbling down on you, and I can't imagine, right? To be at the table and they're like, okay, if you just sign this and we will take care of everything.
Yeah.
Right? The relief they felt in that moment had to have been huge.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that maybe, I don't know if MacKenzie-Childs knew that, but Roland definitely did. When she acquired that distressed asset, she knew what she was buying. And it wasn't, hey, I'm going to buy $15 million of debt for $5 million, and I know that they'll turn it around and I'll get all 15 back. She saw it as, hey, it's an opportunity for me to spend $5 million to buy the IP, i.e. the name, and I know I can turn this into a global phenomenon. I can use my retail connections. I can use, what I've done previously, and I can grow this thing. And it was probably less about acquiring debt and more about acquiring the company.
Absolutely. So she accomplished everything that she wanted to do, Pleasant Rowland. And then in 2008, private equity arrived.
Right.
Right. So this is where we picked up the story.
Right.
Right. Private equity arrived. Roland sells to Twin Lakes Capital in 2014. And the founders have already been gone for 7 years by then.
Yep.
Right. So the version that most people tell skips Roland entirely and just starts at private equity.
Right. Private equity is a easier villain.
Absolutely.
Because they're faceless, nameless.
Yeah.
When it's just a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, every villain, I don't know if you portray her as a villain or a capitalist. I don't know. I guess I'm torn.
Isn't it the same thing?
No, it's not. But you could see it from both lenses, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I just think if you're creative in this space and you're trying to grow a company and expand a business, it's really important to make sure that you have somebody on your side that can advise you properly on what to do, right? Richard and Victoria, in my heart of hearts, I don't think they had that.
Right.
They started on a dairy farm.
Yeah.
right?
And they built an amazing company and an
They
amazing brand and created amazing art.
yeah.
And the questions, I think like with their rapid expansion and the fame and, it's really around those non-negotiables for when you're taking on debt or when you're selling. But, for me, it's like you got to have those non-negotiables in your life too. And understand, we framed it a lot of times when you build a business, you're not always going to know from the start, but you should have an idea of what does success look like, right? And for MacKenzie-Childs, was success defined by I'm getting my art out into the world, I'm selling it, I'm making good money, hopefully, at that point before they took on all this debt, and I'm living my dream versus did the world tell me or did I have grandiose ideas of I have to be the next blah and I need to expand and my revenue needs to go from 10 million to 10 billion,
Yeah.
right? And I need to invest all this money to build out to get to 10 billion. Or is 10 million your goal and you're happy with that? And that's
Mhm.
the hardest part about capitalism and about, I think, humans is being comfortable where you are and appreciate what you have and knowing that where I am is good enough.
Yeah.
And especially as an artist, if producing your art and getting compensated fairly, you own your own brand, you own your own business, and maybe you're at 10 million, you get 10 million of revenue generated through your art, is that good enough?
Yeah.
Versus I have to take on a bunch of debt to get to 100 million, to get to 10, to get to a billion.
Mhm.
Do I want that? Because with that, when you start taking in outside capital, right? You are no longer the master of your own domain. You are no longer the artist, the
Yeah.
free thinker. You are a CEO and you're going to be held to the ethics and the values of a CEO,
Yeah.
not of your creative brain.
I think that this story has definitely tainted the brand for me.
For sure.
I used to love MacKenzie-Childs.
Well, I think you can still, I don't know. If it's still a genesis of their brain, you can still love the art and not support it financially.
Yes.
Right? You can still appreciate and be like, oh, I loved their art. I
Yeah.
loved the ceramics that they produced. And if I could buy some pre 2001 piece, I'd
Absolutely.
probably do it.
Yeah.
The other part was someone shared a link. Did you see the link in the comments?
No.
Someone shared a link to a YouTube video in the comments about Victoria and Richard post everything
Yes. Yes,
and
yes,
their
yes.
ferry boat.
Yes.
And it was a great documentary.
Did you look at it?
I did.
Okay, so Victoria and Richard, after everything happened, they didn't completely shut down shop, right? They bought the last remaining Ellis Island ferry boat, and it was a 150-foot steel-hulled boat built in 1907. And they restored it all completely by hand, and they turned that into their floating home, and their studio docked in Staten Island.
Mhm.
Right? They kept making pottery, they made jewelry, furniture, and they called the new venture Emprise.
Yep.
They weren't sued.
Right, because it wasn't their name. They weren't
Yes.
capitalizing on their name.
Yes.
And I'm sure they had a lot of scrutiny. They couldn't say, art brought to you by the people that brought you
Yes, yes.
MacKenzie-Childs. So they had to basically groundswell build a new brand.
And in 2020, Victoria launched a YouTube channel about her life on the ferry boat. And that's the video that we watched.
Yes. Researching episode 51. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's another link if you look in our comments, and we can post it to this one,
Yeah.
of a documentary about Victoria Childs on the ferry boat, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The insight into the creative mind, I think.
Yeah. So this is very full circle for
Yeah.
us because it all just winds up to the same video that we watched when she's sitting in the tree and it was terrible audio and she's just opining about the life that she is living.
Yeah.
And somebody said a comment about, I think they thought that we were maybe talking down or something about her.
Yeah.
But I have children that are creatives and that's just how they are.
Yeah.
Right? They're just very free-spirited with thoughts floating all over the place. Like there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. It's different.
It's different. Yeah, I try very hard not to speak ill of people unnecessarily.
Yeah. But I think that the genesis of the business, I think, I keep saying that. I know that it's a tick. The the genesis of episode 51 still remains the same. The details have changed now because we got this Roland era in there,
Mhm.
but it's really still a classic example of entrepreneurs that create a product, create a brand, create a business, they have some success early on or some success along the way, and when that success is the match gets lit, they try to pour gasoline on it and they take on debt and they try to expand rapidly, and when top line growth is not sustainable,
Mhm.
that fire goes out and then you're stuck. It's a classic example of overexpansion at the wrong time,
Yeah.
taking on too much debt and not having enough profitability to support your debt, which leads to a lot of bad choices. And not even bad choices, but sometimes you're just in predicaments you can't get out of.
Yeah.
And the fact that, they took on that debt and licensed their IP, which was their name and their trademarks to get the debt, whoever bought that debt was now in control of all those things.
Mhm.
So it's a founder cautionary tale
Yeah.
of, you know, understanding what your goal is, understanding what your non-negotiables are before you take on debt or before get outside capital.
Yes.
And then really having a strategy of what do I do if it fails?
Mhm.
What do I do if there's an oh shit moment? And if you look at some successful IT founders like Bill Gates and others, right? They were adamant of I will have 6 months, a year, 18 months of payroll in cash in my bank before I do anything else.
Yes.
And sometimes those are great stories. And it's hard in this new world of venture capital where it's take this easy cash, light it on fire so I can have high top end growth.
Mhm. Similar to your personal story though, right? How many people actually have $1,000 saved up for an emergency?
Right.
Right? You're supposed to have an emergency fund, 3, 6, 9 months of
Yeah.
living expenses. I know sometimes that's not realistic, especially in today's climate with everything being really unpredictable, gas prices, egg prices, all of it.
Yeah. But it's
Um,
it's kind of the same. I liken I agree with you. And I think the rapid expansion can happen in your personal life too, right?
yeah.
Where you're like, I just got this new job. I'm making $10,000 more than I was making before. I should buy a bigger house. I should buy a better car. I should have X, Y, or Z.
Yes.
I should go out to dinner more. And the best advice I ever got from a banker one time, he told me that your lifestyle is like the elastic in your underwear. And it just sticks with me, just not because it's graphic, but I think it's funny. And as you get fatter and your elastic stretches out, it never goes back in the way it was before. And your lifestyle has the same problem. When your lifestyle creeps and continues to get bigger and you spend more and more and more, it's really hard to get it to snap back. It just doesn't.
Mhm.
So, you got that job, you got that $10,000 raise, and you make all these investments and increase your fixed costs. And then if you lose that job, right? Now, even if you got a job back to what you were making before, you can't afford your lifestyle anymore.
Yeah.
And it's the same in a business. If you take on all this debt as you're growing and all of a sudden you're not growing as much anymore, even if you go back to pre-debt revenue levels, you can't support the infrastructure of the debt that you've created, the fixed cost that you have.
Absolutely. All right. Good conclusion, baby.
Is it?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's adds another chapter to episode 51. Maybe we should just call this Area 51.
No.
No? Damn.
No.
51B?
No.
Is it a remake?
It's a part 2?
Maybe 51.2.
Yeah.
Mm,
V? V2?
yeah, we've been around long enough, and we're now remaking episodes. We're gonna
No.
remake it. It'll be different people here. It's like a
No. I'm
respawn.
I'm actually, like, I'm glad we got to do this because I love it when people
Chime in. Yeah, the comments led us to do a little bit more research and people coming up with additional aspects to the story we didn't know.
yeah. So I challenge you to go find a pre-2001 Victoria Child or, Mackenzie Childs piece on eBay or something. Does eBay even still exist?
Yes, eBay.
Does it? I'm going to go try to find a
Why not?
Pleasant
You know where
Rowland.
you can find it?
Where?
Is if you hit that subscribe button in our YouTube channel. Joking.
All right, we're done.
All right.
Thank you for tuning in to Married to the Startup. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please take a moment to like, rate, and subscribe to our podcast. Your support helps us reach more people and keeps the conversation going. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, drop me a message. I love hearing from you guys. Until next time.